Hi, and welcome to the final curriculum preview video of the year. Welcome back, all my English 2 teachers and anybody else who's just a fan of the Christery uh, curriculum and instruction curriculum preview videos. Please remember to like and subscribe and tell your friends on social media about how exciting these videos are. Just to switch it up and do something a little different, I'm not going to put together a Google slideshow for all this because those were all just snips of the documents anyway, and I kind of just want to show you the documents themselves. So as we go in and we look at English 2 on TRS here, I'm just going to do my search and come down here to my instructional focus documents and go to Unit 6. All right, so Unit 6 is essentially the research unit for us. There's research, and then there's a small little essay at the end of that is a reflection on how we've grown as readers and writers in this year together. So the first one, as we look at research, a couple of things I'd really like to call out. You've done research before, no doubt. It's typically done at this time of year in our old curriculum, so this isn't incredibly new. It does the performance assessment, the first performance assessment here is written with the students in mind. So you could copy this into your Canvas for them to look at. Your task to determine a topic of interest. You may choose to construct an informational argument of a literary product. You can use multiple genres. You could do it as a short film, a literary piece, formal presentation, blog, podcast, or other new digital formats discussed in prior units. So they've really given them a lot of flexibility here. I like the idea of them doing a podcast because I could grade that on my drive home. I think that's pretty exciting. I'm not sure every student's going to know what a podcast is. So all of that said, it goes into great detail down here, and it's going to give you teacher notes to tell you what you might want to think about. It's broken it into parts of like, hey, first let's brainstorm, let's select, let's think about our product, and then let's refine our list. And it's basically taking them step by step through research plan to researching to drafting to gathering sources and all of the different things in the cycle that they might go through as they do that. So be sure you read through all of that. You probably have a plan that maybe encompasses all that, but I always like to look at other people's take on it because it might be like, oh, there's some extra information here. So that's great, Chris. What's available from the district to help support us with that? Well, I'm glad you asked. When we come over here and we go into our secondary core curriculum and language arts, English 2, and we come down, as always, you have an assessment. If you didn't know, there's an assessment for each 6 weeks. The six weeks unit assessment is cumulative, so it goes more along with that. Hey, let's go through your growth as a reader and writer idea in the form of really STAR test passages than it does about research. So you may or may not decide to use that. That's always your choice. You can write your own kinds of assessments. That's fine as always as well, unless your campus has said, no, you're going to use the USA's developed, in which case you're doing your own data thing there and your principals will guide you in that. So when we get to Unit 6 here and we open up the companion document, you're going to see the usual things you see in a companion document. There's the link to those assessments. If you don't want to go to Curriculum Central again and open up the assessment from there, you can link to it here. Down here where I thought you might need, or I could provide some of the greatest supports is by just going through. If you're not a fan of podcasts or you're not a fan of infographics or things of that nature, I tried to kind of gather some because those aren't necessarily in our textbook for the kids to look at. So I've got a couple of TED Talks linked here at the top. I put links to pages for podcasts. So these are mostly informational podcasts. 99% Invisible is kind of interesting it talks about things we don't always think about, stuff you missed in history class, a way with words, stuff you should know, how stuff works. Probably heard of at least one or two of those. You can go and check them out. As always, please preview each episode. If you have other ideas like, oh, I've already got a podcast and I've shared it with my kids and they love it, I think that's awesome. You don't have to listen to the whole podcast in class. You don't have to listen to the podcast together as a group. You could just make this available for people who want to use a podcast and ask them to go like, hey, what do you notice about the format and what do you want to copy and what do you want your podcast to sound like? And if you previewed it, you'll have a pretty good idea of what their answers might be and what they should be thinking about structuring it like. And you can have small group discussions with those kids who want to make podcasts like that. Down here, I've put together some infographics. These two sites really have, I mean, you should have 49 total infographics between the two of them. I believe they're all appropriate. So I don't think you necessarily have to spend as much time previewing those, but showing your students those and talking to them, maybe in the same, put them in groups that want to do infographics and having them talk about what do we notice are common characteristics of infographics? How does research get funneled into an infographic? What kind of purpose does the infographic serve? Because some of them are just to inform, but some infographics are very persuasive in nature. I've seen them used as advertising. So those are all ideas that you might have or talk with your students about these as they look through them. Always, our library services do have plenty of online resources for research. Gale opposing viewpoints will be great if you're going to do argumentative texts. Gale is a much larger resource and your librarian can help you. Your librarian has a library page with links that your students can get into all the Gale resources, which are just multiple data banks for them to go through and look at. There's, as we've had in the past, how to brainstorm for research topics. There's Kelly Gallagher's most valuable idea. There's things for research proposal. There's a sheet for you to do a research proposal and acceptance or rejection slip. And then a research plan checklist for them to develop their research plan. All of those are available for you. You can take those and use them as they are. You might decide, I don't like these this way, and you can tweak them, and that's fine. You may have your own, but these are here for reference and for you to think about. Again, use them if you want to use them, tweak them if you want to tweak them. Use them as inspiration to make a better one for yourself is absolutely fine. I've got some things that are more generic about writer conferencing. As the students start to write their podcast or write their paper or write their blog or whatever they're doing, you can go through and talk to them. And there's some stuff here too from praise, question, polish, and peer feedback rubric so that they can really kind of be accountable for giving each other the appropriate kinds of feedback. In interventions, one of the things I'd really like to show you is the how reliable is a source. You may remember me showing you this in Unit 4, and it's important. We looked at it in Unit 4. If you didn't get a chance to look at it with your kids or spend time with your kids evaluating this or thinking about this really asks them things about credibility and how reliable the information is, and ask critical questions about the author's purpose and the background and all of that for it. So that's here for your use if you want to use it. A couple of last things as you go through the teacher resource system and you read through this document. Remember that rubrics are available down here. So if you want to have them do a plan and you want their plan to look a specific way, this will give you the rubric, and almost all the rubrics in TRS look the same. They're visually the same. So if you share them with your students, they're going to kind of realize the 4 scale that they're being graded on. It's similar to STAR, but it is a very basic holistic grading rubric, and it tells them what's expected of them. And there's one for almost everything you could want to do. If you want to do if you want to grade their plan, if you want to grade an annotated bibliography, if they need time to do peer review and reflection, that's all there. There is a rubric for the whole project, and it just downloads as PDFs, and you can open those up. I'm pretty sure you can even drop those into Canvas for them to look at. So those are there for you. Down here at the end, again, performance assessment 2, your reading and writing and skill growth this school year, and a reflective essay. And so you can have them, and you could even take some liberties with this. You can make it less formal. It could be an email that they send to you. But it goes through all the writing steps like it always does. And there's a rubric there for that as well. If you have any questions, you can email me. You can also find me in my online time when you get to Curriculum Central, the main Curriculum Central. If you click on ELAR, a list will pop up. And here I am, noon to 1 on Mondays and Wednesdays. And this link will take you to a Zoom meeting where you can talk to me. I'll be waiting to talk to you. If you have questions and you're like, Chris, noon to 1 doesn't work for me, and I don't think I can ask it in an email, send me an email and say you need to have a Zoom meeting with me, and I'll be happy to schedule one with you that works with your schedule, and we can talk about whatever you need to talk about in relation to lesson plans, planning this out, how would you do this, any kinds of questions that you might have. I thank you so much for your hard work this year. I know it's been a crazy year. This is the last 6 weeks unit, and so we're getting to the end. I hope you're having a little celebration. For me, it's always kind of a cabbage patch at my desk by myself, which is both hilarious and a little bit sad. But anyway, I'm looking forward to talking to any of you that want to talk to me in content conversations or on office hours. I hope you have a great spring break is when I'm making this video right before that week happens. And I hope that you have a great summer if I don't see you in between now and next school year. Thanks again for all your hard work. Bye.